So why do I even share with you guys, kind of like what I've been struggling with? I do it because it's important, I think, to share sometimes what's happening. We are all getting older, and I think this is also a part of aging, quite honestly, on a vast level, lots of different levels of what I'm going through. I'm thinking a lot of you can relate to. And I think sharing personal things, personal struggles with mental health or all of that is something that needs to be part of this channel. It is called Jill Lynn Beauty Therapy. And I think beauty is for me, it's not just about those things that define it, that we think defines it, the makeup and the tutorials and hair and all of that. I think beauty is a much richer definition for me, and it's trying to stay positive through things that challenge us as we age. It is about feeling good about yourself. It's no longer, or if ever, maybe for many of you, has never been about impressing others. It's about feeling good. But I think as we age, it really becomes more about feeling good about yourself and not giving up on what makes you feel good. For many of us, it is about looking good. And for me, it is. I'm not going to lie there at all. And I just think that the focus, it's got to be about what makes our aging journey more of a positive experience. And that is challenging. So talking about my journey, not just with my hair loss and sharing with you how I've had to tweak makeup and stuff along my aging path, skincare, all of that. It's also about learning to struggle but deal with those other things that we deal with. Mental health is just as important. How can we put our best face forward if we're suffering inside? And I think, as we're raising our children and life is just so fast, we many times as women put our own needs aside while we nurture those other people that are so important to us in our lives as they're growing. Well, now that many of us are empty nesters or almost empty nesters, and our children are out there now, getting on and building their lives, we have the opportunity now to focus on ourselves, and that means our mental health as well. I decided when my stress level in my life got to be to the point where it was just about it was overwhelming for me, that I needed to focus on this. I need to focus now that we're having a respite with my husband's health, and he's doing quite well. He literally is doing everything for himself now, which is amazing. I told myself, okay, we're able to catch our breath now. I need to deal with these things about myself. Otherwise, I'm not going to be good for anyone. And I want to feel good. I want to not give up on trying to feel better. Someday, I hope to be a grandmother, and I want to be able to get out of bed and look forward to spending time with my grandchildren, take them places, have them over, just all of those joyful things that we look forward to, and if I continue to go on the way that I am and ignore all of these things, I am going to be good for nobody, not even my grandchildren. I'm just not going to be well enough. And I saw that happening. So physically and emotionally, for that matter, mentally, that's when I decided to talk to my doctor about the stuff that I'm struggling with, because I think the last 2 years, my stress level, I got to the point where I was so tapped out. I couldn't deal with the least little bits of stress. I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't. My anxiety levels had gone through the roof. I've lived in anxiety my whole life, and I think without even realizing it. And I think these last few years, I've also been wallowing in some depression, but never to the point where you would see probably typical signs. I didn't cry. I could get out of bed. I could feel the need to pursue things that interest me, like my YouTube channel and all of that. But I just do think sometimes, you suffer with it without even realizing it because you've coped with it and you've dealt with it for many years or whatever. I think there's actually a name for that. I don't know what it is. But so, yeah, that's what I decided to do. So where have I been? Well, it's a combination of things. It's so confusing. My son, my husband has a lot of things, a lot of health issues. From years and years, his whole life, pretty much, ignoring his type 2 diabetes. I believe he's had it since he has been an adolescent, and it just never was diagnosed. So there were years, that he didn't know. But he was diagnosed with it when we were married, when he was in his, I'm going to say he was 20, maybe. And he just chose to pretend it didn't exist, much to everyone's dismay. I can still hear my mother say, "Michael D., you need to pay attention to this." Oh, I'm the cure. He was very young, like a little Energizer bunny. He felt it's fine, So basically that's where all of his now serious health issues have cropped up from. When he decided to get this, pay attention to this, is after it's almost a little too late. That snowball had started rolling, and that was a very steep descent. It was rolling fast, and it just was too late. So, it's never too late, and he's changed things around. So we have halted some of this, and that snowball has leveled out a lot more, which is good. His kidneys were failing, so he is now actually on kidney dialysis, but we do it at night, every night here at home. He does it. And it's the PD kind of dialysis, so it's not the hemodialysis. It's not the hemodialysis, the blood transfusion sort of kind. I don't think that was the right term to use there, but we do PD. He does PD dialysis, and he does it every night for 10 hours. And that's why we chose to do it at home, is because he doesn't have to just do it 3 times a week and spend all day, at the dialysis center. So we chose to do PD dialysis for that reason. It's gives him way more treatments every night. So that's good. So that's why we chose to do that. But he's been doing that now for quite a while. It's been 3 years. He needs a transplant. So we started that whole process here in Washington State. You have to go through a series of things, and you don't get to be put on the list until you have all of that checked off. Well, everything started happening then. It was one thing after another. He had a brain bleed. So I saw him have a seizure. And that was a 911 call, thank God. By the time they got there, he was pretty much out of it. It was all good. But we had to, of course, get that monitored and so forth we had to keep monitoring that. So that has resolved, and that's great. We no longer see any evidence of that. So thank goodness. That's due to the vascular disease, So that was that was very scary. And then after that, he ended up, through the process of trying to get on the list, you see a cardiologist, found out that he needed 2 stents put in. So we did that. Then the vascular disease started and now this whole time he's been working full time. He still was able to work full time, and he came home saying that he had this blister on the bottom of his foot, and it was really bothering him. So he knew it was there, and he was trying to clean it and stuff long before he showed me. And he showed me, and I said, "Holy cow, that does not look good. That does not look good at all." So his middle toe underneath that he couldn't really see was turning black. Long story short, the vascular disease caused what was not a blister. It was actually an ulcer at the bottom of his foot, pretty big, at the ball, kind of underneath his foot, going into the arch, So he got in to see his doctor the very next day, and she said, and by that time, other toes were involved now. It's how fast it goes. Sorry, because it took a while to get in to see the doctor we needed to for that. By the time that happened, by the time we were able to go in to get that taken care of, it was really, really bad. It was bad. He had to have his leg amputated about 9 inches, 6 to 9 inches, I think, below the knee. That was what he had to do. By the time we showed up for the surgery that morning, it was very early in the morning, and it was about an hour and a half drive to get there. He was practically the infection had gone to the point where he no longer was able to be coherent. It was really scary, and so I wheeled him in there for his appointment. And at that time, COVID was at its highest, and I was not allowed to even stay once I checked him in. Anyway, I won't even go into that horrific experience. He almost didn't come home. We almost lost him during this time. So anyway, he had that surgery. Great. We got him fitted for a prosthetic eventually. Everything went pretty dang well. And then he had something crop up on his other toe, his big toe. And we saw it. I said, mention this to the doctor when you go in for surgery. But by that time, he was incoherent pretty much. So when I talked to the doctor, I said, can you please look at this? And so he did. And he says, we're just going to keep an eye on it. It wasn't, but maybe 3 months later, we had to have the other leg amputated below the knee. Same amount there, 6 to 9 inches, I think it is, below the knee, due to the vascular disease. And then he started getting ulcers all in his fingers. We thought, he even said, he goes, I think losing my hands would affect me more, because he works with his hands. And but thank goodness that ended up, it took months and months, but it ended up getting better and better, and they kind of resolved themselves, and because it was pretty bad. So anyway, all of this happened in 2021. All of this happened in 1 year. He eventually obviously couldn't work anymore. We came to that realization after his first surgery. He was still hoping, when he had that first amputation, he was still hoping that he would eventually get back to work. But then when he saw what was going on with his hands, he realized that's not going to be a thing. That was very emotional because he actually loved his job. He was only 50, I think. Just turned 50 when all of this started first happening. So anyway, this kept going on, and things we couldn't catch our breath. It was literally one horrific thing after another. And then him trying to recover from all of this when he's on kidney dialysis, and his own baselines are not what our baselines are. So that's why he had a hard time making it out of that first surgery, is because his baselines had dropped so low because of the infection. It was worse than even his normal. Well, the second time we caught it, the second time he was able to really wait until we knew for sure his baselines were good before the surgery. So it went much better. Anyway, a lot more has happened. He actually had to have the first side opened up and cleaned out again because of this weird thing that was going, that we've never even to this day figured out what was happening there. So he actually had to have another surgery on that first one. And then the latest thing is Lewy body dementia. He was hallucinating. This 2022, that started. And so that has been the most recent thing. I honestly think that by the time the hallucination started and all of the cognitive decline that happened around that same time was, for me, harder to deal with than all of the other things that had happened. He had to be put in the hospital for 5 days so they can rule out literally anything else. And that's where the Lewy body dementia sort of stuck is because they did, for 5 days, they did every single possible test they could do to rule out it being something else. And they did. They ruled that out. They ruled everything out. There wasn't any other explanation for these horrific 24-hour hallucinations. While he was in the hospital there toward the end, the psychiatrist put him on Aricept, hoping that the Aricept would help with the hallucinations. He said there is documentation that it may not make them all go away, but we're hoping it'll improve. Well, it took a while. It took a while, but it did start doing that, especially the daytime ones. The nighttime ones were a little more stubborn, but eventually, after several weeks, and especially after that second week when we were able to double the medication, it took a few weeks, they all have gone away. So that was last year. And then I had no idea how bad he had been cognitively until the Aricept started repairing, or it doesn't really repair. It actually finds different pathways. So we have damaged pathways that are no longer working for various cognitive things and even bodily things. Like physiological things, they make different routes. It's like it helps to make different pathways. Eventually, if this pathway this pathway works for a while, then pretty soon it doesn't. It tries to find other pathways. Eventually, there will be no other options, and he'll slowly start declining. But we're hoping that we're going to have several years of Aricept doing its magic, because it truly is magic to me. And so he has been doing the best he's been doing ever. I mean, for the longest time. He's able to do everything now for himself, where before I even had to dress him because he couldn't figure out how to put a shirt on. There were so many other things that happened, and that decline was pretty fast. There were things that were so gradual that it's like we all knew he wasn't up to par, It was like we knew that he was having some sort of dementia, but it was very slight. But anyway, so yeah, Aricept has been truly a miracle. Again, it's a Band-Aid, but we're hoping it's going to last for quite some time. That is what has been going on with him, and that is why the last couple years have been really, really stressful. And things that have been chronic in my life, like I have fibromyalgia, I have back pain, I'm usually able to just let it slide off and kind of keep it in the back of my life. I have days that it's harder to do than others, but it's just always been, I could still go on, may not be the best, but I was able to cope with those chronic things. I have anxiety. And again, I have lived with anxiety pretty much my whole life. But it had gotten so bad, and through this stuff, so bad that I was no longer able to cope. It was very difficult, I should say, for me to cope with this anxiety that had not only been always there, but has now went, way off the charts. So that brings me to kind of what, I decided to do about these things. So I found this other doctor, and I really, really like her. And I told her about this. I didn't tell her about what's going on, other than just the last couple of years have been really stressful in my life. And I need to do something about this anxiety and about, my pain. It's just all getting to the point where it has affected me in a huge way with quality of life. And I am finding I'm depleted when it comes to dealing with any stress now, and I'm shutting down. Like I just can't really cope with anything. I'm finding myself in this terrible place. Well, in December of last year, I deal with vertigo on and off in my life, and I think some of it is due to anxiety, and some of it there's actual reasons for it. And I'm sure I have more than one issue with my inner ear vestibular system. Nonetheless, it's something I've been dealing with pretty much since 2006, the end of 2006. But again, it's been manageable and all of that. Well, in December last year, I had the worst vertigo attack of my life. Things were spinning so fast and for so long. I was so sick, throwing up. I couldn't get it to stop. I was holding on to my son. I had to call out for him during the night. And it was really, really miserable. Along with that, I felt very unwell. and I found that I was swollen here. So the doctor checked. She goes, yeah, I think that's your thyroid. Never have had issues with nodules in my thyroid ever. That's what it was a thyroid nodule. It took a long time, but I finally got an ultrasound, and they found I had a few. Most of them were very, very small, but I had a larger one on this side. And so I needed to get that taken care of. I needed to get a biopsy because it is kind of large. But there's really, she said, you don't need to panic. It's pretty dang common to have thyroid nodules, and they're generally not cancerous. So it's taken a long time, but the endocrinology people finally called me, and I have an appointment. I don't know if it's going to be a consultation or if they're going to actually do the biopsy, but I'm going to have that toward the end of April. So we'll figure that out. I have been doing so much better when it comes to how I feel, when it comes to kind of how I felt during that time when I was sick, I guess. Anyway, I was put on Lexapro to hopefully help with my anxiety, and I get terrible anxiety when my vertigo strikes because it's scary. I hate vertigo, and it's just debilitating. And so this anxiety that's always up here goes way up here, and it makes my vertigo worse. It makes it all worse because they play off each other. So she thought maybe Lexapro would be a good one to start with to see if maybe this is going to help with my anxiety. Wait, that wasn't the first one. She tried a couple things and they didn't work. And then eventually we tried Lexapro. That didn't work so hot for me, dang it. I was really hoping it would because it is more of a gentle medication. But it made me feel almost hyperthyroid. And we checked my thyroid because my heart rate was it wasn't that my heart rate was necessarily fast. It just was like out of my chest. I had the worst tremors ever. I was just a mess. My anxiety was woo, woo, but we checked my thyroid and it was fine. So, but I guess it was the Lexapro. It was just not a good fit for me. So then after that, she thought, how about we try Cymbalta, because that can help with fibromyalgia pain. It can help with chronic pain, back pain. It's good for generalized anxiety disorder. It's good for depression. So maybe we should try you on this. So we did. I'm very sensitive to medication. So we went and just titrated up really, really slowly. So now finally I'm at the therapeutic level, and I've been at the therapeutic level now for over a month. It has helped really well for my pain. It doesn't make it go away. Like I've been sitting here in my recording room and I sit up straight, when I'm recording and all of that. And so, yeah, it's starting to bother me. But nothing like it would. I don't think I'd be able to sit here and record 2 videos back to back before. I know I couldn't. It's my back. It's screaming at me by the time I'm done recording 1. So the fact that I'm doing this, and yes, I can feel it, I'm getting the burning, and it's starting to hurt. And by the time I'm done with this, I'll probably be sorry, but it has helped. It has helped with, I find myself being able to sit much longer. I find myself being able to sleep without this pain. So it's been great that way. But unfortunately, it makes me feel very fatigued, very tired. It makes me I feel like the depression that used to be in the background of the anxiety is now pushed forward. And that's because I have lost I no longer have the desire to do the things that used to bring me joy. I have no motivation to get in here and record. I really forced myself to do this today, and I have to have that desire to produce content, because otherwise my viewers will be able to tell my heart's not in it. But today I did feel, so maybe this is a hopeful point perhaps. I did more than I have for the last over a month, felt the desire to just get in here. I did have to force myself a bit to just do this. So I'm hoping this continues. So the fact that I lost the desire to do the things that actually help me deal with the stress in my life is not good. And my YouTube channel, from the moment I started it, is a diversion for stress in my life. Well, let me tell you, this YouTube channel, and I'm not just talking about just the recording and or the editing, because I actually am one of those rare people that enjoy editing. The whole process of it is it allows me to just throw myself into something and let all of this other stuff fall behind me. And I need that. That's what keeps me sane, that and my animals. But it's not just, again, the act of the recording and the editing. It's this community. And that has been the part of my YouTube channel that I just didn't figure in when I first started it. That has been such an amazing thing. And you guys are always telling me how much I bring to you. Well, I just want y'all to know that is definitely the same for me when it comes to what you bring me. So all of that combined has been what has truly, again, and my kids and my animals has gotten me through this on a daily basis. When that went away, when I literally just did not have it in me, because it just, you feel a bit flatlined, you feel blunted a bit. I can't explain it any other way. It's not just that I felt lazy. It's much more than that. It's definitely this chemical. It's just, I couldn't do it. I had no desire to do it. And that's not good. And that is what caused, I think, my depression to really raise its ugly head more than ever, is because I no longer have that thing that keeps me from getting depressed like that. And it's like, well, maybe I'll try crocheting again, because that's really therapeutic. It's like, no, I don't have a desire to do anything. It's not just the thing or that thing. It's just anything. All I could do was just sort of, be here. And so I decided, my daughter thought, she's a PA, and she said, well, maybe as for the fatigue and the being tired, you could try taking it in the evening. So for the last 2 weeks, well, not quite 2 weeks, it's only been probably a week and a few days, I have been taking it in the evening. And maybe that's why I'm recording today. Maybe it is helping me a little, taking it in the evening, and it's taken almost a couple weeks maybe for that to make that sort of change in how it's being used, changing that up. I don't know, but I also keep thinking it's not helping with my anxiety at all. Well, I think maybe it is a little bit, because I will sometimes, often at night, I will get vertigo, and it'll happen when I'm changing sides. I'm a side sleeper. Well, last night I was sleeping on my back, and I don't even know if I realized that I was rolled over and I had been sleeping on my back. Well, the vertigo kicked in pretty good, and that woke me up, and I just sort of kind of sat up, closed my eyes, even though it spins when you close your eyes. But I just thought, and I told him, it's gonna go away. And it did. And then I just real slowly went to my side, real slowly laid down, and it was fine. I think if I wasn't on some kind of medication, I would have panicked, because I do. I think I would have absolutely had this severe anxiety from it, because I'm so scared it's not going to stop. And I didn't. And I was pretty calm, and I didn't have this spike of panic. So maybe it is helping, at least now, and maybe it's starting to kick in, because I did read that it may take up to 3 months, sometimes longer, on the therapeutic level before it starts helping with anxiety and depression. Most of the things you read about Cymbalta when it comes to the pain, that seems to be the first thing that it starts helping with. And it happened almost within a day or two of jumping up to the 60 milligram. And now as time goes on, I think it's really kind of helping more and more. So I'm hoping, because I really want to just stick with something, I don't want to deal with new side effects and all of this with something new and all of that. But I think I'm just trying to be extra positive and hope that the Cymbalta is going to eventually kind of kick in those other departments where I need it to. So here's hoping. Now, so that was a large reason why you haven't seen me. This is the part that I don't really want to get into, but just vaguely, and I'm sorry to be so vague, but I want to protect my husband and myself and just in general. I just have been so confused because my husband has been doing really, really well. He cooks for himself. He does his own laundry now. He even hooks himself up at night, whereas I used to have to do that for him. He was too confused sometimes about how to properly hook himself up for his dialysis at night and even unhook him. And so he's been doing this all over time. He's able to do all of these things. He's very self-sufficient, the most he has ever been since he first got that very first amputation. So I've been really confused as of late about more of some personality change issues. And so, yeah, it's just been so confusing. I'm like, he's doing so well. Why is this happening? But it has been really stressful. It's happened more than once. It's happened even when I was recording really regularly, and then it would go away. And then it would start up again. I'm going to tell you right now that it doesn't have anything to do with him physically hurting me. Not ever. That has never, ever, ever been a thing. But there has been other things that he would never say or never do or never, ever. And it has been really hard to deal with. I have to say, it has been really hard to deal with. Then it would go away. And then things would be okay for a while, maybe a week or two. And then it came back. And this last time when it came back, I had it. I really honestly could not. I was to the brink where I couldn't deal with it anymore. So I had been keeping my kids posted a little on this. At first, I didn't know if I should let them know. But I did back when it kind of was starting. And so they do know. My son lives with us, but he's hardly ever home. He works full time, and then on his days off, he goes and spends time with his friends, and he'll spend the night over his friend's house and stuff like that. So I don't see a lot of him, but finally this last time I let him know that that is happening again. And I said, I'm at the end of my rope here. I don't know what to do. And so my son said, I think you need to actually get out of the house. And you need, for your emotional well-being, you need to go somewhere. So both my daughters said, you can come here. Well, my one daughter, who actually only lives about an hour away, my son-in-law's mom actually was going to be coming within the next day or two to stay with them for like 2 months from Vietnam. So I'm like, oh gosh, I can't do that to them. And then my other daughter lives all the way in Oregon, and it's like 2.5 hours away. Well, at the time, the weather wasn't the best, but she said, you can come and stay as long as you want. Anyway, I would have to leave my animals at home, which that was the hardest part. I swear, I miss my animals so much. Anyway, I said, I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to do this. And can I stay as long as I need? And she said, absolutely. So I planned on doing that. But then I had to wait because there was a doctor's appointment I had to take my husband to. And I think I even had an appointment sometime. And so I had to wait like another week. But as it was going on, my anxiety, which had been almost unbearable, the thought of driving there by myself was too much for me at that point. I think if I'm normal-ish, as normal as I can get, I think I could take that on. But what with the weather and all of that, I just chickened out. And so my daughter said, Mom, how about you just do an Airbnb close to your house? Doesn't have to be far. And they even offered to pay, and all of that. And I said, well, I guess. So I looked and looked, and I found one that was so cute. It was actually an upstairs apartment in a 1904 home within 8 minutes of our house. The people, the husband and the wife, an older couple, and their dog, lives in the main house, and you have a very private apartment, very private entrance, and it couldn't have been more suitable for just me. It was so cute. And so I went ahead and booked that actually for 9 days. I needed more than a weekend. My husband didn't get what was going. I mean, he got it, but he was very upset that I was doing this. Anyway, so I did, and I spent 9 days there, mostly just vegging out. I'm within 8 minutes of the house. Shane could take care of my animals. My husband loves our animals. He took care of them as well. But my Loki needs heart medicine twice a day. So Shane took care of that. And Shane came out he wanted to see, so he came out and visited me one of those days. And then my daughter and her husband that live like an hour from us, they came out and visited one evening and stayed for a while too. I really needed it. So yeah, I didn't really go anywhere. I would leave to go to the grocery store because they had a kitchen as well. Although, you know what? I decided cooking is not going to happen. I was thinking I was, but I didn't. So I definitely fell off the keto bandwagon there. I fell off the wagon in a big way, but that's all right. I'm an emotional leader. It's fine. So I think I've gained nearly 10 pounds. Yeah. That's all right too. I'm going to get it in order. That's what has been going on since I've been home. I came home first day. He didn't really talk to me, but everything's been really good since, and everything's been okay. Had a little bit of a moment when I'm thinking, when it comes to that personality thing that goes on, I thought, oh no, just last night actually. But everything's fine. So I'm hoping everything stays fine. I'm hoping everything will be fine. My daughter, the one that lives an hour, when we were visiting at the Airbnb, she said, Mom, just, if things start getting bad again, just create your own lifestyle. She said, when you start recording, you can go to like a cute coffee shop and edit there. Just kind of create this own little lifestyle of your own, create your own little happy places, and she just was so dang cute. I swear. It almost brings tears to my eyes. It's so Hannah. And she was giving me all these different examples of things, and she goes, maybe, like once in a while, just like, even if it's once a month, go explore a new place that's fairly close that you feel good about going to, and spend some time in an Airbnb somewhere else. And she said, just kind of create your own little thing going on, if this tends to be the regular thing that's going to be happening. So the plan is that I hope that you will see more and more videos hit my channel. And if you've missed the Get Ready With Me, that hit my channel the same week as this here vlog. Hopefully you'll see. I'm not going to promise a once a week even right now, but I just wanted to let you know that I'm fine, that I'm good. Things have improved in many different areas, and I'm hoping that things continue to improve when it comes to the help with anxiety and the depression as the weeks continue. So I will touch bases with you then, because many of you like to hear how it's going with that. And the reason that I did backtrack for a while, and the reason why this turned into be so long, is because with the last time I mentioned this stuff, so many of you are new. And I've gained quite a few new subscribers that have decided to just sort of start watching my vlogs, and you were very, very confused. But that's why I also went into more of the detail of what's going on. And for some of you, it's going to be repetitive, and hopefully you just sort of scrolled through. As always, I hope that you're all doing well, and I want to thank you for clicking on today's thumbnail and to check in with me. I appreciate you all so much, and I hope once again that you will be patient with me and continue to watch old videos, and hope you'll definitely click on any new thumbnails that you might see pop up in your feed and on my channel. Thank you so much, you guys, for watching today, and I hope to see you very soon in my next video. Bye-bye.